On the surface, the Soul Palace is known as the most powerful faction across the Dou Qi Continent, an organization so vast and well hidden that even peak forces like Danta or the Gu clan felt uneasy when facing them. But behind their veil of secrecy lies an even greater truth. The Soul Palace is not an independent force at all. It is merely a pawn, a branch of the ancient Soul clan, a colossal giant whose shadow has stretched across Zhongzhou for countless years. So who leads such an organization? And how does the Soul Palace connect to the Soul clan's ultimate ruler, the Soul Emperor, Hun Tiandi? Let's dive deep into this dark web of power, ambition, and destruction. The Soul Palace master is known as Hun Miesheng. His name alone carries dread, literally meaning soul-extinguishing life. His cultivation was terrifying by ordinary standards. At first, Hun Miesheng stood at the early stage of a 5-star Du Sheng, already one of the strongest existences in Zhongzhou. Later, through sinister means and endless battles, he advanced to the mid-stage of a 5-star Du Sheng, a realm that put him far beyond the reach of most powerhouses. But Hun Miesheng's true threat did not come solely from his cultivation. He possessed something that made him even more formidable: the sub-fire of the void-devouring flame. This was not an ordinary strange fire, but a fragment of the legendary flame that could consume everything, including space itself. With this, Hun Miesheng's combat power and soul strength skyrocketed, making him a nightmarish enemy for any opponent. More terrifying still was his soul realm, which had reached the great perfection of the heavenly realm, giving him overwhelming control and soul-related techniques. This made him particularly deadly against alchemists, who relied on their souls as much as their flames. Hun Miesheng's mission, assigned by the Soul Clan, was brutal and chilling. Outwardly, the Soul Palace's role was to collect souls, creating fear and hatred across the continent. But this wasn't without purpose. Their collected souls were refined to aid the void-devouring flame in breaking through to the Dou Qi realm. At the same time, the Soul Palace secretly constructed soul-devouring, life-destroying arrays across Zhongzhou, laying the groundwork for mass sacrifices. They even refined emperor-grade embryonic pills, attempting to ripen them with the essence of stolen souls. Because of this, alchemists became prime targets of the Soul Palace. Anyone with a powerful soul was hunted, captured, and refined. Many fell victim to Hun Miesheng's plots, and this is why the Great Alchemist Association, Danta, harbored such hatred for the Soul Palace. Hun Miesheng clashed with Xiao Yan multiple times, and each battle highlighted both his cunning and his cruelty. The first encounter occurred when Xiao Yan attempted to spy on the Pure Lotus Demon Flame space. Hun Miesheng ambushed him, launching a soul attack that instantly injured Xiao Yan, leaving him paralyzed. If not for the intervention of the Danta Patriarch, Xiao Yan's journey might have ended there. At that time, Xiao Yan was merely a 2-star Du Sheng, completely outmatched by the Soul Palace Master's overwhelming strength. The second clash happened within the Demon Fire space. This time, Xiao Yan had grown stronger and wielded 5 types of strange flames. To seize the origin of the Pure Lotus Demon Flame, Hun Miesheng fought him head-on. Xiao Yan unleashed the Destruction Fire Lotus, a terrifying attack that heavily injured Hun Miesheng. At the crucial moment, the Xiao clan's ancestor, Xiao Chen, intervened, preventing Hun Miesheng from finishing the battle. The third and most decisive battle took place at Fallen Peak, where the Tianfu Alliance and the Soul Palace agreed to settle matters in a best-of-3 contest. Xiao Yan once again stood before Hun Miesheng. This time he relied on the Pure Lotus Demon Flame to turn the tide, directly destroying Hun Miesheng's physical body. But the cunning master's soul managed to escape, lingering like a poisonous snake in the shadows. Later, during the Grand War between the coalition forces and the Soul Clan, Xiao Yan completely obliterated Hun Miesheng's remaining soul, ensuring that he would never rise again. But Hun Miesheng's story didn't end so easily. Even after his defeat, his soul was retrieved by Hun Tiandi, another powerhouse of the Soul Clan. With the immense resources of the Soul Clan and the help of the void-devouring flame, his body was reconstructed. At this point, his cultivation had skyrocketed to the terrifying realm of a 7-star Du Sheng. By this time, however, Xiao Yan's own strength had already reached monstrous levels. Not only had he grown in cultivation, but his soul had ascended to the emperor level. Against such power, Hun Miesheng was no longer the nightmare he once was. Instead, he became nothing more than a stepping stone. In their final confrontation, Xiao Yan crushed Hun Miesheng with overwhelming soul power, erasing him completely. The once feared master of the Soul Palace fell into oblivion, proving that in the face of the protagonist's invincible aura, even the mightiest villains must bow. Now let us move to the mastermind behind it all. Hun Tiandi, the leader of the Soul Clan. Hun Tiandi is the ultimate villain of Battle Through the Heavens. From the very beginning, he was already at the late stage of a 9-star Dou Qi, an existence just one step away from becoming a Dou Di. His ambition was boundless. For over 1,000 years he schemed and plotted, sacrificing entire clans, including the Spirit, Medicine, and Stone clans, to ripen his emperor-grade embryonic pill. Hun Tiandi ultimately devoured the complete void-devouring flame, claiming its unmatched power as his own. Wielding the fearsome emperor-slaying ghost blood blade, he stood as a peerless force unmatched in the Dou Qi Continent. In the end, he succeeded where countless before him had failed. He broke through to Dou Di, crowning himself as the sole emperor. This meant that Hun Tiandi was not just the leader of the Soul Clan, he was also the true master of the Soul Palace. Hun Miesheng, powerful though he was nothing more than a subordinate, a pawn sent to carry out Hun Tiandi's will. His role was to prepare the continent, to gather souls, to spread chaos, all to ensure that Hun Tiandi's path to Dou Di was unobstructed. But in the end, Hun Miesheng's loyalty and efforts bought him nothing. Despite carrying out Hun Tiandi's orders faithfully, he died in despair, torn apart by Xiao Yan. And so the tale of the Soul Palace master Hun Miesheng comes to a bitter end. He was cunning, ruthless, and terrifyingly strong, but in the vast tides of fate and ambition, he was merely a disposable pawn. Against Xiao Yan, whose flames burned brighter than destiny itself, Hun Miesheng had no chance. Hun Tiandi, on the other hand, stood as the true villain, the real mastermind and Xiao Yan's ultimate foe. One man created the path of despair, while the other enforced it. Their intertwined fates shaped the final chapters of Battle Through the Heavens, leaving behind a story of betrayal, ambition, and the unshakable will of the protagonist who rose above them all. And that wraps up today's deep dive into the Soul Palace master, Hun Miesheng, and his connection to the Soul Clan's ruler, Hun Tiandi. From a dreaded 5-star Dou Qi to a terrifying 7-star, Hun Miesheng left a trail of fear wherever he went. But in the end, no matter how strong he became, he could never surpass the unstoppable momentum of Xiao Yan. So what do you think of Hun Miesheng? Do you believe he could have achieved more if he wasn't under Hun Tiandi's shadow? Or was his fate sealed the moment he chose to serve the Soul Clan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth Battle Through the Heavens content, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.